My name is Tim Carlson, the Executive Director of the International Partnerships for Hydrogen and Fuel Cells in the Economy Secretariat. This is one in a series of webinars by globally leading organizations in the fuel cell and hydrogen space done for the IPHE. I would like to introduce our guest presenter, who is actually sitting very nearby, as the FCH is currently host of the IPHE Secretariat. Dr. Limperopoulos is a project officer at the Fuel Cells and Hydrogen Joint Undertaking. He is a mechanical engineer, actively involved in the field of energy and the environment for more than 30 years. The last 19 years, he has been working on hydrogen energy technologies, initially leading a section at the Greek National Center for Renewable Energy Sources, and then as Director for Projects at the UN Industrial Development Organization's International Center for Hydrogen Energy Technologies in Istanbul, focusing on developing world countries. In 2013, he joined the FCH, putting his experience to good use in supporting European R&D in sustainable hydrogen production, including energy storage and sectoral integration through hydrogen. With that introduction, I'd like to ask Nikos to take over and make his presentation.
Thank you very much, Tim. Welcome everyone to this IPHE webinar by the FCH. I will be presenting to you the FCH support to electrolyzer development and large-scale demonstration. One or two slides on the FCH, and let me see. Right. The FCH is a public-private partnership. The public part is the European Commission, the private part being the European industry and European researchers, with a focused objective on bringing fuel cell and hydrogen technologies to market readiness by 2020, which is just around the corner. The FCH has 5 main objectives. 2 are related to fuel cells and their application to transport or stationary CHP applications. 2 related to hydrogen, green hydrogen production through electrolysis, and hydrogen for energy storage and renewable energies integration. The 5th one being the minimal use of critical raw materials. The FCH exists since 11 years, and it has supported 244 projects to date, to an amount almost of 900 million euro. That was matched by similar funding by industry. So we're talking of a total of 1.8 billion euro budget. These 244 projects fall under energy, transport, or cross-cutting areas. Focusing now on hydrogen production. In the early days of the FCH 11 years ago, hydrogen production was a facilitator of fuel cell applications in transport and energy. So hydrogen was to be produced through electrolysis from the power grid using renewable energy, and it was for a power-to-power application through stationary fuel cells or used in transport in hydrogen fuel cell vehicles. There was always the question, where will the hydrogen come from? Well, today it's a much more complicated picture, where hydrogen is recognized as an enabler of sectorial integration. The revolution has actually happened on the left. It's renewables, where the cost of PV panels dropped in the last 10 years by 80%. The cost of onshore wind is 7 euro cents per kilowatt hour. So a lot of low-cost green electricity going to the power grid, also causing some stability issues. Similarly, the electrolyzer industry has come up with larger capacities of dynamically operating electrolyzers, capable of producing large quantities of green hydrogen. These quantities, moving to the right of the slide, are now becoming of relevance to industry. industry that is using hydrogen today, like the ammonia industry, or industry that could use green hydrogen in the future to clean its act, like the steel industry through direct iron ore reduction. Refineries are using today hydrogen, and they could also use green hydrogen to their processes. All these large quantities would facilitate the use of green hydrogen also in the transport sector, not only to vehicles and trucks, but going also to trains and marine applications. Hydrogen is today produced at the lowest cost by natural gas. So it's strange to see that people are considering injecting green hydrogen to natural gas, but indeed this is the case. The natural gas industry is interested to reduce its carbon content. So there is the possibility to inject hydrogen directly after blending to the natural gas grid, or to do a methanation step and then inject synthetic natural gas to the grid. Also, the power-to-power option is there. We're talking larger quantities, so gas turbines could be converted to burn hydrogen. Interesting to note in this slide is the balancing services that electrolyzers can offer to the power grid that can improve the finances of such investments. Now, the FCH, thanks to the two objectives that we have on hydrogen, was well positioned to support this role of hydrogen for sectorial integration. We have supported till now 57 projects on hydrogen production, distribution and storage. And here you can see the different routes for hydrogen production. Today, of course, it's mostly fossil fuels, but the routes that the FCH has been supporting are these blue routes, and it's mostly hydrogen from renewables. If you look at the number of projects now, you can see the majority is on electrolysis, but we have also supported the thermolysis of water from concentrated solar, photoelectrolysis, gasification of dry biomass, biological routes for wet biomass, reforming of biogas. Nuclear energy is also there. I know that some countries are interested to follow that route. The US has recently expressed interest in this route. Going back to electrolysis, it's very clear this is the main workhorse for green hydrogen production. And here you can see on the left the support to our 31 projects, up to 100 million euro, to different types of electrolyzers. PEM electrolyzers enjoying the lion's share for research projects, but also for large demonstration projects. Then it's solid oxide electrolyzers, low TRL technology, so a lot of research funding, but also now moving to demonstration. And then also support to alkaline or proton ceramic electrolyzers. Moving to the right-hand side of the slide, there is an interesting schematic. It's not, let's say, a scientific graph. It's more of a schematic, where in blue bars, you can see the increasing capacity of the electrolyzers of our largest demonstration projects, going from 150 kilowatts in 2011 to 10 megawatts in the 2017 call to 20 megawatts in the latest call that we're currently negotiating to sign a contract. Also of interest is these red dots that signify the FCH support in millions of euro divided by the megawatt of electrolyzer installed. So it's an indication of the way the cost of the electrolyzer drops with increasing capacity, but also hopefully with the improvements in the reduction of cost of the electrolyzer industry. Let's see some examples of our largest demonstration projects. This is the 2014 project called High Balance. It's a 1.2 megawatt pressurized electrolyzer by Hydrogenics, installed in an early keyed facility in Denmark. It was commissioned last year. Hydrogen is feeding a light industry, but also buses, a transport application. It is receiving support both from us and also a national Danish framework. The 2016 call Project H2 Future for the greening of the steel industry. This is a 6 megawatt PEM atmospheric electrolyzer developed by Siemens, a project coordinated by Verbund, the electricity company of Austria, and the unit is installed in voestalpine, a steel industry in Linz, Austria. Hydrogen is injected in coke oven gas, but the long-term view is the direct iron ore reduction through hydrogen. Austria has currently a favorable electricity tariff system for electrolyzers. They're exempt from some tariffs, some taxes. The steel industry, I should note here, is a great proponent of green hydrogen at commission level. At the same year, 2016, we had the Demo for Grid project, which is green hydrogen in a food industry. This is a 4 megawatt alkaline electrolyzer by Swiss company IHT. It's a clear displacement of natural gas in a hydrogen boiler. The longer term view is also to fuel trucks for the distribution of their products. The 2017 called Project Refine is a 10 megawatt PEM electrolyzer by ITM Power to be installed in a Shell refinery in Germany. It's a high current density electrolyzer delivering hydrogen at 30 bar, and this giant electrolyzer for us is eventually going to be displacing only 1% of the annual consumption of hydrogen at that refinery. Also to note here is the 20 megawatt project that we are currently in the process of signing. Besides the large demonstration projects, we also support research, game changer electrolyzer projects from 2017, aiming for electrolyzers operating at 100 bar, current densities from 4 to 8 amps per square centimeter for PEM electrolyzers, also looking at proton ceramic electrolyzers. In this year's call that is currently open, we have a topic on new anion exchange membrane electrolyzers, and this particular topic is open to international collaboration, and this could be of relevance to members of the IPHE. To note is the deadline for submission is the 23rd of April this year. Also in this year, we have two important topics for large demonstrations of hydrogen injection in the natural gas grid at the distribution or the transmission level, so lower and higher pressures. All these projects have contributed in creating a vibrant community in Europe of equipment manufacturers or R&D institutions that are meeting the key performance indicators that have been set. There are still issues like improved dynamic operation, testing harmonization of electrolyzers, improving degradation diagnostics, but still it's a healthy industry. And these graphs from a tool that's called TIM that shows the number of publications, patents, events organized in Europe or in different countries between 2004 and 2017 shows on the left that indeed the EU is leading the US, China, and Japan in PEM electrolysis research. On the right-hand side, you can see that Germany is the most active country in Europe, followed by France, Italy, and the UK. And at the bottom, you can see the dark blue is the EU, and the lighter blue is the rest of the world in terms of these publications, patents, etc. Besides the low temperature work, we have also high temperature electrolyzers, solid oxide electrolyzers, where again, European manufacturers are at the front, achieving some of those targets. working to improve availability, reversibility, working to improve some concepts on the integrated methanation or co-electrolysis. Again, using the TIM software, we can see that Europe is leading China in this case of solid oxide electrolyzers research, the US and Japan, and on the right-hand side, Germany leading France, Denmark, and the UK. Now, further to these research projects, we also try to support our industry through some studies. This is an example of a study on the early business cases for hydrogen and electrolyzers. And you can see the payback time of electrolyzers for different industrial sectors and how this payback time can be improved if electrolyzers can contribute in providing electricity grid services. Now, this leads to the conclusion that there is a 2.8 gigawatt of electrolyzers market in Europe by 2025, which is equivalent to 4.2 billion euro. And you can also see the assumed cost of electricity, so 40 to 50 euro per megawatt hour. We never assumed a zero cost for electricity in this study, and the receipt for this green hydrogen to be injected in the grid equivalent to biomethane rate. This study also identified the conditions for these business cases, which is the low electricity cost, access to grid service revenues, but also the recognition of green hydrogen. And for this, the FCH is also supporting the Certify project and later study for developing guarantees of origin for green hydrogen. Actually, there is a definition of green hydrogen from renewables and low carbon hydrogen, which is at less than 60% of the emissions from an SMR. We have already issued 70,000 such GOs, thanks to the 4 pilot projects that are currently following this initiative. My one to last slide is on another effort to standardize electrolyzer testing protocols, especially in terms of dynamic operation. On the left is a JRC supported effort that is looking at the standardization of testing at cell and stack level. And on the right, the QualiGrids project that's looking at standardization of testing at system level. And with this, I would like to conclude in that terms like sectorial integration, energy storage, decarbonizing industry, and the gas grid have become mainstream energy policy terms at the European Commission in countries in industry. In this, hydrogen is recognized to play an important role, and the electrolyzer is a key technology. The FCH has provided continued support to the European research community and to industry in moving electrolyzers from few kilowatts to megawatts today, improving the performance and reducing costs. And of relevance to the IPHE, we are open to international collaboration. With this, I would like to thank you for your attention. So, Tim, back to you.
Thank you very much, Nikos. It was a very informative presentation and illustrative of the innovative work and leading actions underway led by the FCH. Now, I would like to draw this webinar to a close and thank you all very much.